week, when all this on. But guys, welcome in. Hello, everyone coming in live. We have a very special guy. I'm excited to have him on. We got Derp Dave on, and Derp Dave, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How's it going, man? Glad to be here.
Oh no, I'm glad for you guys to be here too. Big project on Cardano, and you guys are doing so many different things. Like we would need hours on end on to actually go over what you guys are doing though. But before we get into all that, kind of give me your history and like how did you get here to Web3?
Same story. It's not that interesting. I think same story as a lot of people, right?
Huh?
Tired of the existing, options and systems that we have in traditional finance, and maybe late 20 teens where I started like learning more about it, and then like a lot of the world, it was 2020 when I went pretty heavy. We were all stuck at home, and so I was learning more about it. Got pretty heavily into it at that point. Obviously, like a lot of other people, started with Bitcoin. Found my way to Ethereum, started dabbling in NFTs a bit there, found Charles's whiteboard video, was hooked. And then it was only a few months later that we were kicking off Derp Birds. So again, I think it's I've talked to so many people that have like super similar trajectory where they started Bitcoin, found Ethereum, trickled down into Cardano. And so, yeah, my story is the same.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I don't know. I remember you guys when I first got in here, into the Cardano ecosystem. Like I've always told everybody, it's the same song and dance, right? That I tell everything. But Cardano is where I started actually on NFTs. And I remember you guys here, you guys have been constantly like building, right? So we're going to try to kind of go in and kind of peel back kind of everything that you're building. But for somebody new, right, coming into your ecosystem, right, and they see all these things you got going on, like where does the best place to start?
The best place to start, like it's a question that we talk about in the community a lot, and because the Derp Birds ecosystem is so broad, and as you said, we're
Mhm.
doing so many things, or the way we like to say it is so much stuff.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're into, because people are drawn to NFTs for different things, whether it's artwork or things like rewards, passive rewards, income, those types of things. Some people just like collecting. Some people love the community aspect. I think Derps has a lot of all of those things. And so if you're really into like the collecting meta, where that you like those sort of
Derp
like
Dave,
gamified.
come back.
Are we good? Can you
Derp,
hear
are you
me?
back?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
No, I didn't hear you. You like cut out for like a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Weird.
yeah. I
Okay,
know.
I'll restart. Um, yeah, so if you're just new to Derp Birds, I'll do
Yeah.
the even shorter version here. It just depends on what you're into. Derp Birds has a lot for everything, whether you're into collecting, artwork, passive rewards, those types of things. And so I'd say the best place to sort of get a feel for what's going on is to go straight to the Derp app. You can get there straight from the Derp Birds Twitter page, and that'll bring you right to the Derp Marketplace. And it's really just a listings aggregator. You can see we have floor bounties. So a floor bounty is literally you're getting a massive reward in Derp for basically scooping up the floor asset from every collection. And I think that's probably the easiest way to sort of ease into it is to pick up a floor bounty. But if you're really into sort of passive rewards, I would say I would start you with outposts. And outposts are a really great way to sort of experience the whole ecosystem. If you have an outpost, you can take the character assets, and fortify the outposts. Outposts will earn you rewards every epoch. They'll earn you passive ADA rewards every month. And all of the features we've launched for the most part this year have all revolved around outposts. So if you want like the most fun and the latest and greatest, um, definitely start at outposts. Yeah, and then sort of bridge out from there. We have 4 different character collections. So yeah, whatever one sort of is most appealing to you, I would say pick up an outpost that matches that character collection, and then
Mhm.
and then start trying to fortify. Get your assets, your character assets in your outpost. And I think that's probably the best way to start. But that's a lot. I know I just said a lot already. So really, let me take all that back and say the best place to start is to join the Dirt Birds Discord and
Yeah.
ask them, where should I start?
No, no, definitely. And yeah, like Outpost has been like hot new thing. Everybody's been talking about Outposts and everything like that. You guys like, everyone loves the Outpost. I've seen you on different shows and everything like that. And that's like kind of like the hot new thing though. But the main collection, right? The Dirt Bird collection, the artwork and everything like that. Like where like, Dirt, Birds, like where did you kind of like get that from? Like, I mean, it's very unique.
Yeah, it came from. I think I'll be totally real. Like the way it started was we wanted to. We were kind of trying to make fun of how ridiculous NFTs were. At the time, like so there was a lot of sort of meta. I guess like meta commentary in a way, like in the early launch of Dirt Birds. Like we were trying to make jokes about how the NFT space was kind of insane. In 2021, it was insane. Like
Yes.
everything was nuts at that time.
Hmm.
But the exact name and the idea to make them derpy, just I was working with the artist at the time. We were on a call. He was like drawing, on his iPad at the time, and he was just talking out loud. The original the name for the project at the time was Chirp Birds, and he's like, we have this like dirt. He's like, I'm just drawing this like derpy looking bird, and I'm like, oh, that's the name. That has to be the name of the project. We have to, I have to go with Derp Birds. And so that has really set the stage. Like we sort of knew what the general vibe for the whole project would be, but it was the that sort of moment that we're like, okay, that's definitely the direction, sort of the artistic direction for the rest of the project is going to be, it's going to be derp.
No, definitely, and I like the artwork, especially the the 2.0 too as well, and everything though. But like as we kind of go through each and every single kind of one, right? You have of course like the derp apes, right, and the prez, the derplings and everything like that. Can you kind of give us maybe a quick kind of rundown on each and every kind of like single one of those? Just as I said, somebody new kind of watching this, like yeah, just give us kind of a quick rundown of that before we get to outpost. So everybody loves the outpost. I'm getting everybody's like, no, talk about the outpost, but I definitely want
Yeah.
people to learn about some of the other stuff too as well.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to talk about the outpost, just again because it's been the most recent thing that we've
Yeah.
done, and I'll talk about the character collections. But I think the thing that made Outpost, I think, pretty popular. We
Mhm.
sold out in 4 hours.
Yeah,
Like
it was good.
yeah, it was pretty nuts. Like we were shocked as well. But it's just that we really put a lot of effort into making sure that they could be appealing to everyone. So if you were an outsider, if you were a non-holder, you hadn't participated in the Derp ecosystem, we put a lot of effort into making sure that it wouldn't feel as if you were disadvantaged coming into it. So I think it's very easy to like Outposts. It was a very safe mint. Most of it was going back into buying a mining operation, into the mining operation. But on the character collections, yeah, it is fun to talk about. It's been a while since I sort of gave like the overview on the character collections. And if I say too much at any point, I think people should check out the guidebook where we have sort of a rundown of the character collections, a
Yeah.
nice little brief summary for each of them. And at the very top of each of those sort of summaries, we talk about like the benefits, the use, the utility for each collection within the ecosystem. But they, yeah, all four character collections, like everything takes place in this world of Derpatonia, and it started with the Derp Birds. You have the enemies of the Derp Birds, which are the Preds.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on right now. Something we've talked about, we've been hinting at a lot about lately, is that these are the two primary collections: the Derps, those 2.0, those rebirth Derps, and the I don't know if I'm setting off those flares or what with
I
my
don't know, man. That's
my
actually pretty
gestures.
cool. That's you. That's thank you.
But yeah, okay, I'm going to put my thumbs down. But there's the primary collection
Mhm.
of the derps, and then there's the enemy of the derps, who are the Preds, and we're getting into more of the story coming up with the launch of Adventures,
Mhm.
and much more of the backstory and sort of where the Preds come from. A lot of that will start to get revealed, but those are the two primary collections. That's what we say. They're like the main characters for the ecosystem, and then we view the Derplings, which are the babies of the Derp Birds. We view the Derplings and the Derp Apes as sort of support characters or secondary characters. And that's so, again, depending upon, I think people should always collect what they like. Like, what's the
Yeah.
most fun? What's most appealing to you? But depending upon what you want to do in the ecosystem and like what your, again, sort of like what kind of Web3 market participant are you? There's something there for everyone. So yeah, what we will see over the next few months, uh, Adventures is, I feel like I've been saying this for a while, but Adventures in Derpatonia is coming up. Is, again, I think there'll be a lot more of the sort of the story layers revealed that I think give a lot more context and interest to the character collection. So yeah, again, that my advice is always the same: just collect what you want, whatever's gonna be fun for you, and yeah, you'll figure it out as you get further into the ecosystem.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I like the fact that, that you're gonna eventually kind of like interconnect all these different kind of collections too as well. And now that we kind of like, can talk about it, right? We kind of give a quick rundown though, but Outpost, right? Everybody loves what you guys are doing with the Outpost and everything. So just kind of, if you can, kind of like explain like exactly what they are, some of the rewards you can get. And yeah, I'm pretty, like I said, you guys have been talking about this like crazy, but it's super popular and everybody keeps championing the Outpost. So yeah, I'll let you go ahead and dive right in on the Outpost.
Yeah, so Outpost, well, I guess there's two ways to tackle it, sort of like the world and the story and the IP
Mhm.
view, and then there's the sort of NFT view of it. And so starting with the NFT view of it, yeah, it's a collection that we dropped back in October. As I mentioned, sold out in 4 hours. The goal was to make a collection that would be the derp ecosystem's been around for a long time, and something that we got a lot of, throughout the history of the project is people either feel like they've missed the boat or there's too much going on. The ecosystem is too much. And I think a lot of projects, the bigger they get, the more their ecosystems grow, the more that becomes a problem. It becomes a problem because people feel it's so overwhelming. You don't know where to start. And so with Outpost, we wanted to address that problem. We wanted to create something that would be attractive for anyone and allow anyone to get like a clean entry into the ecosystem without being overwhelmed or confused. So that's what we set out to do with Outpost. We needed to raise funds. To be blunt, it'd been 18 months at that point without us raising any funds. We'd been through the bear market, and we need to raise funds. We want to do it in the safest way possible. And so, like, one of the things that we try to live by at Derps is like, we are a business. We do need to have an
Yeah.
income, but we try to give back a lot of what's coming in, and you see that through Outposts. Everything we do keep goes back to the project, but yeah, the Outpost collection was just about sort of creating an entry for non-holders to be able to experience the ecosystem. And as I said, we need to make it as safe as possible. So we're like, hey, let's everyone knows this, but we decided that getting into crypto mining would be a safe way for us to do it. And so yeah, we raised $1 million. 800,000 of that went into buying mining hardware. And yeah, fast forward a few months post launch, I think we dumped another $100,000 from
Damn.
compounding from the initial
Mhm.
miners into more hardware. So we're just about at $1 million mining operation, which is nuts. It is
Yeah.
it's crazy to sort of think about that. But we timed the market honestly perfect. I don't think there was a cheaper price in the cycle for hardware. So the amount of mining hardware that we got is significant for the amount that we spent. And GGMC, right? They're our partners, Goofy Gophers.
Mhm.
Ryan over at Gophers reminds us every time we talk, like the price that we got, like is crazy.
Yeah.
We timed it really well. So yeah, and again, so the point to sort of stay focused on Outpost for a second is as I said, it was to create something that would allow new people to come into the ecosystem and sort of pull them in. And so there's a lot you can do with your outposts, but a big part of it is fortifying. So you can take your character collections, your derp apes, your preds, your derplings and whatnot, and fortify your outposts. And by doing so, you start earning the derp token. Regardless of fortification, regardless of that, every outpost earns every month based on the mining operation. Based on royalties, well, royalties and whatnot are for larger outposts, but all outposts earn from the mining operation every month. So yeah, around the 15th of every month, we do the ADA rewards. Yeah, and I think I'm rambling a bit, but I think that's generally the overview outpost. It's a nice way to tie the whole ecosystem together. It's a great starting point for people who are wanting to dabble in Derp Birds and maybe take their first step into the collection. Yeah, it's very rewards based. Just 2 weeks ago, we launched the latest feature, which I don't know if you saw this, but we integrated a World Mobile Earth node
Mhm.
into them. And so now every 10 days, we're giving away 500 World Mobile token, to people who participate in that new feature that we launched. So I guess to summarize all of it, Outpost really is about like passive rewards, allowing people to participate and earn passively different types of rewards. And yeah, as the ecosystem continues to grow, there'll be just more and more of that coming to
More and
Outpost.
more rewards. And no, that's what I found so interesting. Like, man, these guys are doing it well. And of course, the larger the land, right, the more awards you get, right? The bigger your outpost is, right? The more you can generate, correct? Am I correct on that?
Yeah, exactly. There's two factors. The size of the outpost determines the reward sources. So small only earn from the mining operation right now, and all. Yeah, there's another emote on there.
Hey, the crowd's loving it.
Cool. I don't know if it's Mac OS or what, but there's the so the size determines the reward sources. So small get rewards only from the mining operation. They can also participate in the new Earth node integration, so all outposts can participate in that. Medium outposts earn from the mining operation, of course, and the ecosystem, a percentage of what we earn through the Derp Birds ecosystem, and then large earn from both of those sources plus royalties. So yeah, and then it's the location. There's 7 locations that plus the one of ones, but there's 7 locations that the outpost can be located at, like Derpshire Valley, Trilartica Drifts, Baldo's Bog, Lava Lode Peaks. That determines the multiplier. And so someone will have to correct me, but I think the Lava Lode Peaks, for example, is the legendary location, and so it
Mhm.
has a 2x rewards multiplier. So it earns twice as much as a Derpshire Valley for the mining operation, for example. So and there's other things. There's one more factor in there for the mining operation specifically. You can upgrade your outposts. Each outpost has a mining facility, and it can be upgraded using the Derp token. And by doing that, you're actually able to unlock even more rewards from the mining operation. So there's quite a bit to it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a very well thought out ecosystem. And also, I do want to actually get on the actual derp token itself, right? And what are some of the other use cases that you're going to have with that derp token?
Yeah, a lot of it right now does revolve around the outpost, where it's hard to unpack because if you jump into the ecosystem much, what you'll see is that a lot of the uses within the ecosystem are the derp dollar, and so it's important to understand that dynamic between I'm going to set off fireworks again. The dynamic between the derp dollars and the derp token. So derp dollars are sort of the off-chain currency, and
Mhm.
derp token is of course the on-chain currency. We like to think of it really as like the gold in the treasury versus the fiat issued currency, the paper
Yeah.
money. And so derp dollars are off-chain. They're instant. We can distribute them instantly for staking rewards and whatnot, and they can be spent instantly, right? So no, you don't have to sign a transaction. Everything's instant, and so we're getting to a point where we're doing more and more off chain now.
Mhm.
And the way that we view the derp token is at the point that you want to take rewards, right? You want to cash out in some way. Then you can convert your derp dollars to the derp token. You can go to the LP and you can cash out. And so it's important to understand that dynamic because it's one of the things that I think people overlook pretty dramatically. What an insane advantage it is to have built an ecosystem around that, because
Yeah.
to be honest, doing stuff on chain sucks. It sucks signing transactions for things.
Yeah.
It's slow. You have to wait for the transaction to clear. You have to sign. You have to click through things. And
Mhm.
being able to take things off chain allows us to do things instantly. But it also gives us a lot of flexibility. I mean, how many tokens have you seen from projects, from NFT projects? They launch a token and then they have to launch a second token
Yeah.
or migrate or something because the tokenomics were busted, the emissions were too high.
And migrate V2, V3. Yeah.
Exactly. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll go ahead and say, like, I think there's a future where we'd have to do that, not for tokenomics, but for a cross chain reason. Um, but
Mhm.
but having the derp dollar, being able to control that supply and things off chain, and being able to distribute them instantly, it's something that again, I think it's one of the it was. Let's say it wasn't an accident, but like the way that we did it at the time was out of necessity, and it turned out to be something that's given us a huge advantage. So that's a bit of understanding between the derp dollar and the derp token, and sort of how they play within the ecosystem. A lot of the use coming up within the ecosystem will continue revolving around the outpost. So again, I mentioned the Earth node integration a couple weeks ago. It costs derp dollars to repair the satellite, so you can participate in that feature. You can upgrade it. All that's off chain. A few weeks before that, we launched the comms tower upgrade outpost that is on chain, so it does use the derp token. But coming up soonish, we have adventures in Derpatonia, and I think that will far and away, even at the MVP launch, will far and away be one of the biggest sort of expenditure points of the token. There's a lot going on in adventures that will allow people to use the token. A little further out, and we can get as much into adventures and talk about those uses as you'd like, but something we haven't talked a lot about on any broadcast or show or publicly yet is we have talked about sort of I think I've referred to as like a new partner program,
Mhm.
where the general idea, giving away as much as I possibly can right now, is that what the benefit that we have with the token is very difficult to I don't want to say compete with, because I don't want everything to seem like a competition in the NFT space. But that mining operation that we have, that $1 million mining operation that we have, is now
Mhm.
backing our token. And so that's just something that I think it's very difficult to. It's a huge strong point for us. And regardless of the, I'm not going to say that like it's going to every month we're going to have $50,000 going into the Derp token because of the mining
Yeah.
operation, but it's the fact that the token is now backed with actual money coming from a recurring source every month that, depending upon what the market does, could be pretty significant.
Mhm.
And so that's something that's, again, we've just started talking about, and we've started pointing that out recently. What a big, what a significant thing that is, and what that does for the token. So one of the things that we are working on at the moment is a new partner program, and the idea with it is you're an NFT project and you want to create some sort of source for rewards for your project. And like a lot of projects, the first thing you go to is starting a token. That's what we did. It's what a lot of projects do. The problem with creating a token is it's a pain in the ass. It's
Yeah.
not difficult. It's from a technical point of view, it's not like it's difficult. But the problem is, what gives your token value?
Mhm.
Are you doing it legally and in a compliant manner? We have done all we spent the money to establish the offshore corporation, to have the legal team, to do all of that, and now we have the mining operation. So those investments that we put into Derp, I think, make it an ideal source for rewards for any project to use. And so you can probably see where we're going with this, but the idea is to say, hey, project ABC, XYZ, um, rather than creating your own token, because it's very difficult to do it right, and most tokens do just go to zero.
Yeah.
Why not use our token? Not only have we done our safe, legally compliant, not only is ours backed by the mining operation, but we are an engineering based team. We have the engineers, and so we're going to continue building loads of new uses and utility, and we're going to take it cross chain, and invite other projects potentially to look at this as a reward source for their projects. And that's sort of the I guess that's sort of like the forecast for the Derp token. Is it's not only the yeah, if Malal's saying alpha, then that definitely means this is the first time I've talked about this, because he listens to everything that we say. But yeah, that's there's so much more to it. I'll tell you, I'm trying to get away from talking too much about the future, because we have so much going on right now. The ecosystem is so awesome today. And
It
I
is.
know in Web3, like the idea is like, oh, people always want to know what's coming next. And I am the worst about always talking about, hey, here's what's next. Here's what's coming next. Here's why you should be
Mhm.
excited for tomorrow. But dude, the Derp Birds ecosystem today is so awesome. And there's so much to do. But yeah, that's a bit of a future forecast for where we're taking the token. Again, there's so much more to it, but yeah, that's a bit of alpha.
So when I look at projects, right? I look at like projects that like have a lot of things going on that merge Web 2, Web 3, right? Or doing something right. And you guys, of course, had the mining operation, you had the rewards, you have all those things, right? And I think that, and I've always kind of said it too as well, that you guys are very like underrated in that aspect. And guys, you guys watching this, and everybody out there, right? Of course, mining's going to go on forever, right? Bitcoin mines. I mean, we're far, far away from actually getting all the bitcoins mined, right? So this is something sustainable, right? There's so many things that projects promise you hype. They do all these things, right? But this is tangible stuff. They already have the compliance done. They have all their ducks in a row. So guys, if I was you right now, man, I would be so like bullish on Dirt, but your community's here too as well. And I actually do have a question for you, Dave, because I've noticed it in your like episodes that I've watched. Bad financial advice. I think the Freedom 35 guys too as well, and
Yeah.
even here on my live stream here, your community like shows up like crazy. Or you guys have built a wonderful community, and founders that are watching this, people that are thinking about jumping in and starting a project, right? Maybe not so much on your level, right, but wanting to build that community. Like, how have you built such like a vibrant and engaging community?
Yeah, no one's asked that in a bit, but the for sure there is some luck involved,
Hmm.
100%. Right, 2021 was just a great time to be launching a
Oh yeah.
project, and we for those who don't know, like some of the backstory is we launched right on the heels of Coca Locos, that whole fiasco. And so we really tried to tap into that community as Coca Locos was sort of
I remember that.
bugging. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were trying to be sort of a project that would step in, and I won't get too much into the specifics, but there were a lot of opportunities in 2021 that, to be completely honest, just don't exist now.
Yeah.
Someone asked me today, and I get this question about once a week. What advice you have? I want to start a project. What advice you have? And to be completely honest, my advice is don't do it. Don't start an NFT project. And the reason why is because it isn't like there are, and I've had people accuse me of being like anti-competition, like, oh, you don't like new. I do. Two projects that I've launched. Actually, let's talk three projects I'm a huge fan of that launched recently. This is me. I'm not shilling those projects. I'm not promoting them, but three projects who've had three different outcomes lately: Snackies, Omen, Goofs. Right?
Mhm.
These are three teams that either have amazing teams, amazing ideas. They have awesome in-house capabilities that a lot of people aren't going to have access to. They've all had different trajectories, right? All three of these different projects, but like even looking like Omen, what did it take to make Omen a success? Nemo was in the space for 2 years, more than 2 years,
Yep.
grinding to be able to
Yep.
build his following so that Omen could be a success. Sneckies is one of the smartest projects ever. Like the fact that they launched, they have a built-in community, right? They have a built-in market, and that's the snack
Yeah.
holder base itself. And then, so this idea that, yeah, again, to go back to the advice of like just don't launch a project. The reason why is because Derps is not the biggest project ever, right? We haven't even been the biggest project on Cardano, if you by measuring volume and whatnot. Let alone you zoom out and look at the rest of the space, and Derps is a freak anomaly.
Yes.
We are a 0.1% project of the industry. That's how rare it is that you have a project like Derps, and it is a grind every single day. I can't play video games. I can't watch movies. Like Derps are always on my mind. I just tweeted earlier a little sneak from my engagement photos with my fiance, and like we took a Derpling stuffy with us. Like it's just
Yeah.
a part of your life all the time. You will never not be thinking, if you love what you do, and if you don't love it, you're probably not going to have a project that makes it. And so back to the whole point of community, I think in 2024, especially on Cardano, I mean, I think it's everywhere. But Cardano has for sure, let's just use facts here. Like the number of active wallets within the Cardano NFT space has been, on a steady decline. Hopefully it's
Yes.
bottomed out at this point, but it's very difficult to launch something and to attract a community, especially if people who love the project for more than like what they're being told they're going to get out of it. And that's something that we have with Derps. So like, I have to say that, like, I think if there's something that's really special about the Derp Birds community, other than the fact that, yeah, they'll show up and talk about penis size, is
Yeah.
I think the thing that makes them stand out is like, it does seem like there's a real love for the IP, for the world that's being built itself. And it's so hard to establish that. And if all you're doing is building a community of people who are expecting to, flip their NFTs for a Lambo, next year or something, at some point you're going to have some pretty angry holders, because the likelihood of launching a new project and reaching that level, it's really difficult. So yeah, I guess to sort of turn that to a more positive and maybe an optimistic piece of advice is there's only one thing I can look back to and say, yeah, how did we build a community of people who are very loyal to the project? And it's just own your shit. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna make mistakes. You are gonna make mistakes. It's so be honest, don't lie, own your shit. You're gonna make mistakes, and when you do, don't blame the markets, don't blame other people, don't blame your team, don't
The
blame a contract.
foundation.
Like you have to own it. And I think like if you can do that, if you can be honest, you can just not lie. If you can, don't steal the money. Like that's advice that some, like literally, dude, I had a meeting. I had a meeting with a hedge fund manager,
Yeah.
and we were talking about Web3, and I mean, this guy's very successful. And I was like, yeah, well, what would be your advice? He's like, I hate that I have to say this. He's like, but in Web3, he's like, a piece of advice I feel like I need to give is just don't steal the money. And like it's insane that you have to say that, but like there are, yeah, you know, it has to be said in Web3. So yeah, I think be real, just don't lie, don't be a dick, be there for your community, show up when they show up, own your shit, you know, and yeah, and build something that people can love more. It's more than just like you know, dollar signs. There needs to be
Yeah.
something more there. So I don't know how to do it. I just said a bunch of things. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
It
um
makes it makes sense though, and also what I want to say is that people do not want you to FUD their Coco Loco bags, so they're pretty angry that you were FUDding their Coco Loco bags
dude,
as
I have my
well.
own bag. I have my own bag. So yeah, I get a bit of a pass, I hope.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. It's like I said, your community is great though, but as we kind of I do want to get back on Derptonia, and then we could kind of go into some of the things as of late, what's been going on in Cardano, right? I like that little spiel you did too as well, though. But I do want to get back on Derptonia before we lose it. Like, what's that going to be kind of like?
Yeah, so I mean, the whole world, Derpatonia is really the world, you know, in which it's more like the universe in which all of this takes place. And I mean, dude, we need 2 hours because the it is really just the place in that our ecosystem exists, right? It's this make believe
Mhm.
place, but the Adventures in Derpatonia is sort of like this. It's this game that we've been working on for a while. It's all chain agnostic, and it's really a vehicle for us to be able to deliver content more quickly. So I don't know if you know were you said you remember us from back in 2021, and you may or may not remember like some of the major milestones along the way. We did the incubator, right? And so you could take your Derp Birds, incubate. They got eggs.
Mhm.
We had this whole gamified system for that. A month
I
later,
remember that.
first multi segments, you
Mhm.
could hatch your eggs and get a Derpling. Fast forward several months later, we had the Pred invasion. We had this whole gamified experience, and so all of these, and there's been many more of those along the way. But all of these things always had a story element to them. It wasn't ever the focus, but we always had a very strong yeah, Derp Betonia, thank you. We always had a very strong story element around everything. And adventures, the whole point of adventures, dude, is to allow us to deliver content like that, the things that have always been really fun about our ecosystem, and to be able to deliver those much more rapidly rather than those types of things taking 6 months or 8 months or 12 months even to deliver. We can be pushing those to, I don't want to put, I'm always shy about timeframes now, but it allows us to just, you know, massively increase the rate at which we're pushing out content. And to be honest, dude, how many NFTs do you hold for different projects that you're like, oh, I love this thing, like what can I do with it? And it's not just about passive rewards, and maybe it's not even just always about getting rich, but like there's always just this, the one of the worst things about Web3 is just like we're always talking about like, oh, soon this thing's coming, you're gonna be able to do this, I promise this is on the way.
Trust me, bro.
um yeah, dude, it's
Yeah.
just all the time. And derps have been like that too in the past. Like we've always, you to a degree you have to talk about what you're going to do, you
Mhm.
know, while you're building things. But adventures really is this thing that's going to allow us to give the community the thing that, I think the thing that made them fall in love with them, that it's to give them more of the things that allowed us to create a community to begin with. And that's just these things that allow you to sort of get more immersed in the world of Derpatonia, to understand, you know, the story, the world, to grow this emotional attachment to your characters, you know, the assets that you're holding. And yeah, that's more about adventures. The more the hypothetical, like Derpatonia itself. One of the things that we also have in progress right now is leaning much into sort of the IP and brand side of things more. And so a lot of that is um, what is the backstory? How did Derpatonia come to exist? Where did
Mhm.
Preds come from? Why are there no female Derp Birds? Like those types of things. Those are all things that we're starting to get more into. And I know that's not the most interesting thing to a lot of Web3, you know,
Oh, yeah,
degens.
I'm interested in it.
It's the thing I think it's so important is it's how you tell the story. And I mean, how many video games have you played that like the game starts and they launch you into like a 30-minute cinematic and you're like, dude, I have zero attachment to this game yet. Don't make me read lore. Don't make me,
Yeah.
and so what we've tried to do with Dirt Birds is like put the roadmap out there that people can participate in and experience with, so they feel as if they're a part of that world, and then start telling them more about, you know, more of these more details of the world. So it's hard to get right. It's so easy to throw all of your funding at those types of things that may or may not give you longevity as a project, and so it's a hard thing to balance. But yeah, I could talk about the world of Derpatonia all day.
No, no, I like that. You see, because I always like a good story, right? I like how things are like I said, I was a huge comic book nerd. I'm seeing it on the live stream right now, but because I always make fun of nerds and like the nerds in this space and whatnot, though. But I was a huge comic book nerd. I love a good story. How things kind of interwove together, like the backstories. I always love like prequels and everything like that. So I like the fact that you're kind of go in and dive in and figure out like the preds and everything like that. So no, I honestly I can't wait for that. But I do want to ask though, as we kind of get into all this, right? And we've had like a kind of rough couple of weeks, as you could say, kind of within the ecosystem. Actually, it's been a rough bear market, right?
Yeah.
And it has been. It's been rough. We've not proud of some of the like the fights we all got into and everything like that, though. But one of the problems, right, as of late that I see kind of popping up on the timeline is that Cardano has no culture, right? How do we bring people here? Cardano's boring, right? And everything like that, and Cardano doesn't really care about the NFT ecosystem. There's no support from the foundation. There's Charles. There's no support from Charles either. Anything like that, and they don't really embrace like the meme coin kind of NFT kind of culture. They're more kind of tech savvy. And how do we get more people here on the Cardano? And kind of what's your take on the whole kind of topic right there?
I mean, that's a lot, and I'll go ahead and say up front, like I don't have the best answer for how we bring people to Cardano. I'll yeah, go ahead and play my card on this, which is Cardano is our home. Like, we're here for one reason, but as everyone will know, or as most people will know, like we've been talking about, being chain agnostic and cross chain for a long time. And so Cardano will always be our home. Like there's something very special about what Cardano does and how it stands apart from the other top blockchains.
Yeah,
But my focus, and I mean, there's going to be some people who maybe don't like hearing this, but my focus isn't Cardano. It's Derp Birds.
I love it.
Like I love derps, and so while I want people to come to Cardano, and we're going to do our part, and I think we've played some part. I don't want to exaggerate like what our efforts have been in trying to bring people here, but to be honest, I think the part that we have to play is to just be the best project that we can be, that derps can be,
Hmm.
and if there's a way for derps to sort of shine light on Cardano and the benefits of Cardano and what Cardano has going for it and the things that it does well and the reasons why we all love Cardano, it's to just build the best project that we can and to make it as accessible to as many people as possible. So
Hmm.
while I think it is a problem that you've laid out, I 100% agree. Like there is a problem with liquidity. There's not a liquidity problem on Cardano. Like you just saw Splash
Yes.
a few days ago, which is, by the way, awesome platform if you've used it yet. But you saw how quickly it got funded. Like it was, I forget what the raise was, but it was a pretty huge amounts of money, pretty much instantly. And by the way, and to even say in the NFT space, while it's a drop in the bucket compared to what other chains could see, you might see on another chain. Again, back in October, ADA was at 25 cents. Right? People were
Yeah.
pretty bearish in October. We sold out. We raised 4 million ADA, right? $1 million in 4 hours. So I don't necessarily think for sure there is a liquidity problem, but I think that there is also, I don't know why more so on Cardano than other chains, but I do think that the Cardano NFT space, you can call it whatever you want, maturity or whether it's an age thing, I don't know, but I think there was a time when our NFT ecosystem on Cardano was more vibrant. There's more volume.
Yeah.
I think people just get sick of seeing the same things over and over.
Hmm.
People have been rugged and burned and hurt, and I know that happens on every chain. So I don't know what's different about Cardano in that maybe people are just they're done. They're done getting promised these things that never arrive. Founders give up and leave. They rug. They fell. They were sold on so many things, and I think a lot of they're just done. They're the interest overall in buying JPEGs on the Cardano blockchain isn't it's not super high right now. So yeah, in terms of support, I don't know. I like that Cardano. I like what it stands for. while I would love to see some, more support, and sure, like we hear Charles talk about this, like Intersect is the latest sort of community-based, marketing platform. I feel like there's been a couple of those since Derp Birds has been around, and like it's chaotic because there's no I don't know. I don't understand. Like I can hear Charles in my head saying like, yeah, it's right there. You should just join. You have a voice. You should just do it. But it seemed like it feels like we've seen a couple of those things come and go,
Yeah,
and I've never truly saw the impacts that they've
yeah,
had. So I think as founders, if that's something I could tell Charles, who lives right up the road from me, if it's something, if that's one thing I'd say is like it whether the thing exists or not, I can tell you as a founder who loves Cardano, who has been here, since September of 2021, or that's when we launched Derps. Um, it, the benefit to those things isn't clear to me, and I listen to Charles. Right? I watch his
yeah.
streams. I read his tweets. I was at Rare Evo or NFTLV last year and
Mhm.
Rare Evo, and I saw Intersect's presence, and I listening to what they have to say and all that, the benefits still aren't super clear to me. And so I'm a UX designer by trade, right? Like that's
Yeah,
that's my day job. And so thinking about your end user, and in this case, Intersect's end user, I'm one of them, right? I'm a founder of like it's not very clear to me what the value is. So I would say that's one thing I could see improvement on. But that's not necessarily a critique of how Cardano operates, but it's just my own observation of like, um, yeah, and again, what we're generally told is, hey, Catalyst funding exists,
yeah.
write a proposal, go out there and get it. But it's not so straightforward, right?
Mhm.
It's not that simple. So, yeah, I don't know how to fix the problem. All I can say is I'll just repeat what I kicked this off with, by saying like, what Derps is going to do is just be the biggest, best project that we can be. Try to create something that people from any chain and even beyond Web3 would be interested in, and I think that's our way of pushing Cardano growth forward.
So I don't think people really want like so much like, oh man, no one's gonna turn down free money or anything like that. But I think what people are kind of like wanting, and I get it, like as a founder, you shouldn't like have you shouldn't depend on Charles, uncle, daddy, or they call him Daddy Charles, telling you you're doing a good job and everything like that. But I mean, dude, it is kind of like nice to actually like maybe a retweet or maybe a comment, right? Stuff like that, or maybe like showing some sort form of like, oh hey, I like this, I stand by this, things like that. Because like, and I keep mentioning like AVAX, right? Because AVAX was pretty much a good pioneer for this too as well. They embraced the meme coin culture. They like said, okay, so Ava Labs, from the foundation, we're going to go ahead and fund and call them like changing their names to like culture coins, right? It's something
Yeah,
that they can get behind. And I know maybe like, like Charles and, the actual foundation itself maybe doesn't want to kind of like dive right into the meme coin culture or the
mhm.
NFT culture. Maybe they wish it wasn't around. Like, I don't know. Right. But, I don't think anybody's really asking for like money. I think people would just want like some form of like acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like, I think, I know, I think what Charles would say in response to this is, "Hey, I was at NFTLV the last 2 years. I was at Rare Evo the last 2 years. I was there. I acknowledge. I shook hands. I got to, I gave him a Derpling stuffy. He's got one of these bad boys, that he came by and picked up last year at NFTLV. And so I think it's again, I'm not out here trying to give advice to Charles and stuff, but the I think it's a tightrope that he's trying to walk.
Yeah.
And as a project founder, I'll tell you, like, of course, I wish you would retweet Derps
Yeah.
and finally invite me up to the farm, over to the ranch. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I would love that. I would love, obviously, some but I also see the risks of that, and it's participating, associating yourself with some project or whatever that. There was a project that ended up rugging some sort of snowman project. I don't know if you remember
Oh
that,
man,
but
I've gotten rugged on Cardano so much. It's not even
we're
funny.
also, yeah, we're you
Yeah, yeah,
try to block out those memories. But there was some
yeah,
like snowman project or something, and like they sent him some like toy, or I don't remember exactly what the story was, but they sent that, and then they ended up rugging, and like he had that in the background or something. And so like I think there's I don't think I don't think for a second that there's any sort of um I don't think for a second that Charles is like, oh, I wish NFTs or meme coins weren't here. I wouldn't say that. I don't think that's the case. But I do think he loves a lot of it, right? He's done the thing with Clay's, the whole Snoop thing and all of that. And, he had, he does interact with Hosky. He had the ape, the TAS ape hanging on his wall, did some spaces and stuff with him. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I think about it all the time. Like who could be, and maybe it shouldn't be Charles. Maybe it just
Yeah.
shouldn't be Charles. Maybe again, Cardano is trying to be different, and I hope that's why we love it. It is different, right? Like there are a lot of these other chains that are pretty similar, and so if you want more of that, I hate to say this, but like if you want more of that, that's the chain that you should go to. But there's nothing wrong with saying I like AVAX for this reason, I like Polygon for this reason, and I like Cardano for these other sets of reasons, and I'm okay with it operating a bit different. But again, I'll tell you if I would, of course, love for Charles to retweet Derp Birds and to acknowledge Derp Birds and to, change his PFP to a Derp Bird. I would love that, but I understand fully why he may be reluctant to do that, and so it's a tightrope. Like I don't envy. I can okay. So and let's bring this down to a more granular level.
Yeah.
Um, I am the founder of a small project, right? It's in comparison to Cardano itself, right?
Hmm.
And not to compare myself to Charles in any way, because again, these are apples and oranges here. Even I have to be so cautious with talking about a new project. I just mentioned 3 projects earlier, and I'm like thinking, like, oh, should I have done that? There is some level of obligation, responsibility, accountorship, ownership that's that founders take, and again, what I have to do is completely different from what Charles has to do, of course, but there is, there's a community of the Derp Birds community who, if I talk about a project and they think, okay, Dave is sort of has vetted this project, maybe they're safe, and then that project rugs like that really sucks. And so Charles is at a whole other level where he's it's just something different. So I hear you, and I actually agree with you. I wish there was an easy way. There was just some simple solution
Hmm.
that the foundation or whatever could do to that would basically pump all of our bags. Like bring
My
liquidity.
bags, baby.
Exactly. Like none of us want to say that exactly, but it's not about pumping bags. That's just the end result that we're wanting for. Like what I want to see more than anything is growth. I want to see more wallets coming online. I want to see more
Yep.
people on X, more engagement, more people excited about what's going on, more collectors, more of the, hey, I just picked up my first Kong, the Kongs follow Kongs. Like all of that, the 2021 minus all the rug, shenanigans. Like I that's what I want to see. And the volume is a side effect of that. And so I would love to see more of those things, coming to our space, but I don't know. I don't know I'm glad I don't have to be the one to figure that one out. So
Yeah, no, definitely. And also too, like, I do want to ask you, like, Dave, like, speaking of, Charles has, I think he's doing a lot better. I've seen him a lot more he's a lot more on spaces now. He's a lot more, he's on different, I think he was on a Solana space the other day, which was totally caught me off guard. Right. But
yeah.
also too, he has shown support, like, to the Ape Society and things like that. Right. And we recently had a kind of, situation kind of go down where the Ape Society, has left. Now they're going to go to like base. Right. And kind of, for a while, right now things have gotten a little bit better, but for like those couple of days, it was almost like it was just like, where do we do now? Like, one of the top projects on the ecosystem is gone. This is your fault. A lot of finger pointing, like a lot of this, that, and this, right? And it was just, it was a whole huge mess. Like, from the whole side of itself, like the ecosystem. Not to say the ecosystem was on shambles or anything like that. That's a little bit too dramatic, though. But it was just a lot of like shock and just where do we go from here? And what was kind of your take on the whole situation?
Um, hmm. I mean, I tweeted this right after the announcement, and which is still basically my view on it is, uh, I have huge respect for what that team delivered. Like they
Yeah.
obviously did a lot, and the support that they were shown is second to none.
Hmm.
Like they were top volume. They had a floor price of 15,000. So the
Yeah.
Cardano community really showed them a tremendous amount of support, and it's the same support I showed them. I still have my ape. Um, so I have a huge respect. I have massive respect for what they pulled off, what they delivered. I don't always agree with how they did it, but again, I think any founder can say that about any other founder, right? Like projects
Yeah,
that are my projects I hold that I love, maybe I would do things differently. And there's something great about that, right? We shouldn't all be doing the same thing, doing it the same way. So yeah, it is a bummer to see them go. I mean, that there's just no getting around it. But it ultimately it's their decision. I don't think it affects the Cardano NFT ecosystem long term. For sure, that it's a hit to volume. Again, there's just an ace and ace. It's called an ace and ace. Like there's no getting around that. Just a hit to volume. It's a bummer to see him go. But it is their decision to make. I the only thing that like I'll say was confusing to me about the whole situation is why leave Cardano? Why not just
mhm.
expand to? And again, that's different. That I'm speaking as the founder of Derp Birds, and like that's what we're doing. We're expanding. We're growing to other chains. We're not leaving Cardano. And again, I couldn't imagine leaving Cardano because the support that the people who are here in chat right now, Nami, Slumber, Malau,
Oh, that's
Knifebait,
great.
all of them. Yeah, like I can't imagine. We built a community here, and I think the people who are here in this chat today would go with us anywhere. I really believe that. I know they love Cardano as well, but they would go where derps go. But we don't. I personally don't see a reason for why I would want to leave Cardano. I don't have a reason for why I'd want to go. Like again, and in large part, again, it's where our family's at, the support that we've been shown, and to me, that's what I see from again, maybe a difference. Congo and I may view it differently, but in from my perspective, like I thought they had tremendous support. Actually, sorry, it's not my perspective. Just factually speaking, they were really well supported. Highest volume. Well, some people debate whether it's Space Buds or them because of.
Oh, yeah, because you had some of those nerds. Well, technically, I saw that, so it was pretty funny.
I love those guys. So yeah, I
Well,
like.
actually,
I love Maxis, dude. Like you know how much more fun the space is because of Maxis. Like
yeah,
we should try not to get toxic and whatnot, but like the Maxi stuff makes NFTs fun. But yeah, to me, like there was a lot of support for Ape Society, and there still is, by the way,
yeah,
from the community. People are still buying apes. So to me, like that's the one thing that I would challenge them on. And I don't want to, we don't Congo and
yeah.
I or Cartman and whatnot. Like we don't interact a lot on X every now and then. Like I agreed with a lot of Congo's takes on things, liked a lot of his tweets, retweeted a lot of his tweets. He's commented and engaged with some of my stuff, but there's no point in us
Going back and
disagreeing.
forth.
Yeah, exactly. It's difficult. It's difficult to again, Maxi communities. Like it's easy for us to start something that we didn't intend to start. But that would have been my pushback. Is like that's something I would like to challenge them on. Is like the support that they had was unrivaled. So that's my take. And I'm not complaining because again, the support that the Cardano NFT community has shown Derp Birds is also insane. And yeah, we're super grateful for it. So yeah, again, I'll recap. Hate to see him go. Don't agree with everything that they did, but that's okay. And I wish them the best on base.
Yeah, no, hopefully, like I got into the ecosystem, right, their ecosystem, and yeah, no, I think base, I think they had to do what was best for their project. Now, the one thing I will agree on though is that I thought they were pretty well supported, right, almost to a point of like it was, it's crazy though. You're gonna laugh at this, right? But there is like I don't know if you know of it, but there's like an underground like Discord for like projects that have been cast off, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
basically at the time everybody felt that like if you weren't the Ape Society, you weren't shit. So like all these like project founders went and made this Discord where they can go support each other. I don't know. Have you heard of something like that?
No, but I mean, I will tell you, you're highlighting something that's so important to this discussion, which is it's all perspective, right? If Congo and by the way, there is some, not to sound too woke or anything, but like there's validity in all of these perspectives. Like
Mhm.
Congo felt right, and Air Force or sorry, Air Force One, AF1, they felt as if they weren't supported, as if they weren't shit, as you said, like they weren't getting what they wanted. I
Mhm.
don't know if when they said that they meant that specifically from the foundation or from Charles or from the Cardano NFT space or all three of them. I'm not sure. But I can tell you, if they felt that way about the foundation, then we all feel that way. Or maybe we don't feel that way, but if it's true of them, it's true of all of us.
Yeah.
There's no derp hanging in Charles's office, and I know the ape's not there now either. But and by the way, I'll also say, though, I think the way Charles handled the situation, like, there could have been, it could have been handled better by all parties. Let's leave it at
Yeah.
that. But we're all human, and I'm not here to throw stones. But the but to your point, though, to highlight, and I should probably stop talking about this, to be honest, but to highlight the everyone has a perspective, right? And so
Mhm.
if you are, for sure, I think it's fair to say that if you were anyone but Ape Society at some point, if you were any other project, that for sure you're questioning along the way, like, man, what do we have to do to get some of the support that the
Yeah.
Cardano NFT space was showing Ape Society? And yeah, so I think it's all perspective. It's all a point of view that you're coming from, and for sure there are, dude. How many projects do you know that just on Cardano alone, right, excluding other chains, that showed up, they presented something they wanted to do, they did the thing, they kept going, they were present, they were active, they were building, they're engaged, and they got no love, no attention,
Yeah.
no support. And so I think it's just, these perspectives really matter when we make statements. And it's definitely, by the way, something I try to always keep in mind is, yeah, derps are not, if you measure the size of a project based on volume, then yeah, derps aren't number one on the Cardano ecosystem. We have not eclipsed the volume of every other project. It's not what we're here for. But that's it's just perspective.
Yeah.
I know I'm a broken record at this point, but like, yeah, it kind of feels like, the amount of support. Everyone has always been in a position, including myself, where like derps has been shown an overwhelming amount of support, not as
Mhm.
much as Ape Society, but an overwhelming amount of support. And I have to think all the time in all the other projects, and I've talked to so many of these founders who they're awesome teams. They're doxed. They're well-meaning. They're capable. They have the skills in-house to build the things they want to do, and they're just ignored. There's no support. There's no love for them. Maybe they don't have the marketing thing figured out, or whatever, but like, they just haven't been shown that support. And so even derps, like, I try to remember myself, like, yeah, man, I wish and you always want what's like further up the hill from you, right? Like, it's easy for me to look up to Ape Society and be like, man, I wish we were at that spot. I wish we had that. But there's, hundreds of projects that are further downstream from derps. So like, man, wish we could be where derps are at. So again, it's all perspective. I think it's important to be, you know, grateful for where you're at. And,
Yeah.
we're trading JPEGs on the internet. So let's, let's
In our
try to
basement,
be.
most of us in our basement living with our mom. I'm sorry, roommate. No longer call him mom or dad. But yeah, no, definitely though. But like I was telling, um, like I was like talking about it in the Discord. Like I don't know what like Congo and them went through behind the scenes, so I couldn't really comment on it. Right? I thought they were um pretty well, like just pushed and everything like that. But who knows what went on, like behind the scenes though. But the question that everybody asks, right, is that after they have left, right, and they're going to go do their thing on bases, like where do we go now? Like what do we do now? And do you have like any kind of like input on that? Because like the whole NFT ecosystem is kind of, for at least those couple of days, everybody was just kind of like looking around, like, oh man, this is the worst thing in the world. Like, what are we going to do now? And yeah, like what do you think, the whole to grow this NFT ecosystem, what should we do?
I can tell you what derps is going to do.
Yep.
We're going to go everywhere. We're going to be on every chain, right? We're going to be on
Love it.
base. We're going to reunite with our friends at Ape Society. We're going to be on base,
Hmm.
Avalanche, Polygon, Ethereum. Like, we'll be in all those places. So again, I don't have an ego, and I don't pretend to know things I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for growth within the Cardano NFT ecosystem.
Hmm.
What I'll say is that I again, dude, it's been over 2.5 years of my life building derps, like nonstop, just go all the time. There's always DMs to answer to. There's always I do all the design work. There's always product requirements documentations, right? There's always things to do. And I I wouldn't change any of that. Like it's been a super fun ride, but the I think it's important for people to understand that like I should say this. I'm more excited about Cardano right now. Some of the things that are going on, right? Again, just seeing Splash launch the other day, like that's huge. If people aren't paying
Mhm.
attention to it, that's really important. The recent demo, the little video recording that Charles put out showing one of the Hydra heads or whatever engage and like processing the transact, whatever. That all of these things are really exciting. The thing that I think Cardano has to overcome, and I know this isn't an original thought because everyone says this, it's the brand and the narrative problem. I should say Cardano doesn't have a problem. I think Cardano is trying to be what it is right now. I don't think if you talk to Charles, I don't think Charles is going to say, yeah, Cardano has a problem. It's only a problem if you view like Solana, for example, and you say, oh, we want that volume here. And as a
Yeah.
project founder, of course, I want that volume here, right? You want the thing that you're building to get, to be very successful. And so, of course, we want that here. But we also have to be prepared to accept, like, if this is what Cardano is trying to be, if this is what Cardano is about, right? Decentralization and governance and all of these things that Charles has told us, this is what Cardano is about. If that just doesn't mesh with what makes a really sort of thriving NFT ecosystem, then I think what's most important is for us to accept that could be the future of Cardano NFTs. It's just this is the reality of Cardano NFTs, and we have to accept that's okay. And for those who can't accept that, if NFTs are the main reason why you love Web3 and stuff, well, don't be a Cardano maxi. It doesn't mean you have to leave Cardano. It means for sure, yeah, go create your Polygon wallet and join the Derp Birds on Nifty Island. But like, yeah, you should definitely get out there and do more things. NFTs, you can go love them on every chain. There's no reason to be a maxi if you just love NFTs. So I would say, like, if you're a participant in the space, that's what you should do. If you're a founder, if you're trying to build a business, I don't think. I mean, look at Frank. He went from Solana to
He
Ethereum back
loves
to Solana.
bridging.
Yeah, exactly. And the that's a whole other discussion. But like, a project like that at that size, even he's thinking about these things. How do you
Yeah.
maximize growth? And I know there's more to it. The move back to Solana, for example, is kind of a culture thing as well. But for sure, liquidity, I'm sure, had a part of that. A part of that decision. And so I think it just if you're a founder, and you're trying to build a business, you need to think about where you're going to launch. And I would say if you're trying to build something that's super ambitious, um, definitely you cannot not have a multi-chain strategy at this point. So it's going to be difficult for a lot of projects. We're super blessed. The co-founder Geek is a god level engineer, and we have a team. We have multiple engineers on the team now, and so we're able to do some of these things that a lot of projects just aren't going to be able to do. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for some projects. But the cool thing is there will be service providers that stand up, helping projects to bridge and whatnot. But yeah, it's hard to. Yeah, hard to see where to go, man. I think I don't think there's a problem to fix necessarily. I just think, again, it just goes back to perspectives. Like, if this is what Cardano is supposed to be, then it could just be that the NFT ecosystem for Cardano looks different than it does some other chains. That could be lower volume or whatever. But yeah, it just kind of is what it is. Yeah, I'd love to go talk to Charles. I mean, again, he's right up the road. Like I thought I was. I don't know if he's.
But you
I
do
don't
have
know.
one question.
Yeah.
Are you going to go to Tron?
We haven't really looked at it, but what I'll tell you, what I,
That's funny. They want you to go to every chain.
I mean, there's, as I said, like as long as
It makes sense.
again, there's a certain point where like the way that we're building things right now is that by the time I won't get too much into these details, but by the time that you've connected to the Derp ecosystem, it doesn't
Mhm.
really matter where your NFTs are coming from. So for us, like building something that any asset from any chain can engage with us, like it doesn't really matter unless it's. But one thing I'll tell you is that right now Cardano is kind of the outlier in like how we handle assets, because you're actually owning the asset versus it being locked up in a smart contract.
Mhm.
And so I think And again, I'm not the engineer, so I shouldn't be talking about technicals anyways. But for us, like as soon as we start down that path, which we have, um, it's really just, we live by this 20-80 rule. Like 20% of the effort, produces 80% of the yield. If it makes sense for us to go to a specific chain, that's the only thing we have to measure. Does it make sense for us to do this bit of effort that's required? And generally, I think that there's always going to be a strong answer, or a strong argument to be made for yeah, it does. It makes sense to go there.
Yeah, no, Derek, definitely, and I like that aspect that you're trying to be kind of like like multi-chain, and the different initiatives you're going to have. I can't wait to kind of see that roll out. And we did kind of see it a little bit too with the Nifty Island on Polygon. And like real quick, I know you're like kind of short on time though, but can you kind of give us what's that going to be like?
Yeah, so basically, shout out to Mingo from Little Sappies, by the way, who's really doing. Okay, so we should have been talking about him this whole time, because that dude, whatever people want to think about Little Sappies and whatnot, he's doing a lot of work behind the scenes to help Cardano projects feel as if, basically trying to get them to a more integrated into the broader NFT space. And so I won't give the pitch on Nifty Island. It's that's not my product, but he basically facilitated that play for us. So the long and short of it is essentially, we've been invited to sort of bring the Derp Birds community to Nifty Island, and just, was it yesterday or Monday, that we announced that integration. And so now what you can do within the Derp app is actually, this is a great question, because there is some confusion about what's going on. So you go to the Derp app, you connect your Polygon or your Ethereum wallet.
Mhm.
All we're doing is associating that wallet with your Derp account, and we're going to collect that address. We're going to pass those wallet addresses to the Nifty Island team, and when you log in with that address, you'll be able to claim your Derp character, your in-game avatar over there for free, and start running around as a Derp. Maybe doing other stuff with other character models, but for now, you'll be able to run around as a Derp bird. The cool thing about Nifty, for those who don't know, is like, yeah, it's just this hub for NFT projects, and you see a lot of the biggest projects. You have
Yep.
Sappy Sills and Pudgies and the Plague and Bored Apes and whatnot. You have everyone there. And so, yeah, it's what we're planning on doing with it is, we've been talking, you've been seeing Frank talk so much about community lately. And it's pretty evident that like what makes a project last is its community. And so to sort of dovetail this into the last 30 minutes of this talk is, community matters, presence matters, the ability for a community of people who sort of represent a particular brand to show up really matters in Web3. And so what we're hoping for is to see the Derp Birds community really show up, participate in Nifty Island, at least get over there, claim your Derp avatar. But we're going to be planning some sort of like game nights and setting up our own island over there so we can all hang out. Again, if you haven't looked into Nifty Island, a lot of it's just like sort of like building mini games and whatnot around
Yeah.
around different project islands and whatnot. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and we're going to see what the Derp Birds community thinks of it, how they engage with it, and the more they do, as I said earlier, like show up when your community shows up. If they show up, we're going to put more and more into that. And if they're not too into it, then we're not going to pursue it too hard. But yeah, I think that's the TLDR on Nifty.
No, I love that. The fact that you're gonna have like your own like in-game avatar, and Nifty Island has been huge lately. Like a lot of people in the Utes community use it. Of course, a lot of like Polygon. That's all we kind of use too, as well. Is that we're always a lot of us going on there on Nifty Island doing some things over there, though. But like Dave, I do appreciate you coming on, though. I do have a couple more questions for you, though. I know you're kind of pressed for time, though. But this first question right here is that in a perfect world, right? As long as the world doesn't, as long as we don't nuke each other or something like that, or some other natural disaster happens, where would you like to see the Derp Birds a year from now?
1 year from now, okay, yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people are like, yeah, where are you going to be 5 years from now? And it's
Yeah,
easy.
I know everything's changed. I want 1 year.
Okay, so I'll tell you where we'll be 1 year from now. 1 year from now, we'll adventures will have long. It's not that 1 year from now we'll be launching. It's that in 1 year from now, adventures will have been out. We'll be well into season 2. We'll have multiple additional layers of content. So it's just this ongoing. There's always something to be doing in adventures. We'll have This is one. I think I can say we'll have
You say it.
all of the outpost structures online. We will have a presence on multiple chains. The new partner program will be live. So I think to sort of like, what does all that mean? That's just a bunch of features and shit that I just listed off. I think it means growth. I think it means that, we've been, we did Outposts in October, and we've been heads down committing all of our resources into engineering over the last 6 or 7 months. And we've been doing smaller things along the way all year, pushing out new things. But the biggest things, that I think we've ever done are very close. And so I think a lot of that effort that we've been that we've sort of been pouring into engineering in the last few months, a lot of that's just going to sort of, I think it's going to launch us into like a whole new era of the project. So again, if I were to put one label on it, it's growth. And I guess last comment I'll make on that is I think the Derp token will be a pretty big part of that. It really ties everything that I just mentioned, all of those things, ties all of that together.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. I'm going to start immersing myself in this ecosystem too, as well. Like I said, I like everything you guys are doing and all the things you have to offer. You guys have everything well, thought out though. And Dave, I do appreciate you coming on. But before you go, is there anything else you want to say? Any community members you want to shout out, or anybody on the team you want to shout out?
I'll shout out the whole community as always. If I name any one of them, then I feel bad for not naming all of the regulars. So shout out the whole community. Again, I'll never not do that. They're the reason we're here. So yeah, thanks for showing up to the stream, guys. I think it's, by the way, thanks for having me on, by the way. I think you mentioned this before we went live, just it's a grind. And I say this when I go on all the shows. So just a huge thank you, because the content creators are builders. It's so important that we recognize them and that we show up for them. So we really do try to push. This was a middle of the day stream, an odd one for me, a middle of the day on a Wednesday. So I sort of, asked the community, hey, let's show up. And so thanks for having me on. It means a lot. But yeah, I think that's it. Just, big shout out to the community. And if there's anyone who's watching that's not a part of the ecosystem, not a part of the Derp fam, then jump in Discord, check us out, ask questions. There's always a ton of people in there who are willing to help. And if that falls through, then DM me on Discord, and I'll help you out myself.
No, definitely, Dave. I'm gonna hop in. You sold me on it too, and like I said, appreciate you coming on. I know in this next kind of run, where you're probably gonna be busy, you won't probably have time to come on and everything like that, though. But I do appreciate you. And guys, this is gonna wrap our show. Go ahead and check out Derp Birds. Hop into Discord, see what they have to offer. Outposts is gonna be a huge fun ride. And guys, I'll see you around in the next one. Take care.